with us for, at least 3 days now. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share? I want to give you the floor. Mike, I know you had your hand up also in general, so whenever you're ready.
But excuse me, I had to get a bite. My
It's
question,
okay.
I heard Joe say he didn't want us to share his nothing on social media. So if I'm talking or sharing something, can I at least say that he was my mentor?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know, what was the confusion, that you had there? Because you can always share who inspires you, who your mentor is.
Yeah, well, because some of the things we say as we get into it and we progress into it, I'm getting so many great ideas, but I'm trying to keep it separate. But I mean, the man's a genius, so if something come out, I'm always giving his credit. But I want to make sure that it's okay because he was like, "Hey, don't tell my stuff." I ain't trying to tell stuff, but
Tell my wife I'm a genius because I don't get that from her.
That's a good question. Actually, that is a great question. And just thinking overall, as you guys, many of you already have who've been with us, as you do webinars and create assets and incorporate what we've taught you, even just from the challenge, you always want to give credit to the source, it's like writing a research paper, you give credit to all the people that you've done the research, and all the history essays. It's kind of annoying, but you did it in school. Why aren't you doing it as an adult for people that have actually helped guide you to what you're doing today? It's the same concept. So it's always amazing to credit the source and what you've learned. Many speakers and coaches don't do that because they're scared that other people will train with somebody else and not them, but there is room for everyone. So I will say in moving forward, if somebody has influenced your life and impacted you in a positive way, and you're using resources and tools that they have given you or inspired you by, you're actually using what you've learned from them, I would always think it's a good idea to say, and you know what, I've really, a lot of these principles I've learned from so and so, and they've really motivated me to do this. So it's always a good idea to give credit. What we don't want people doing is using our IP and teaching our IP. We want you teaching your information, your expertise, and you can use our things to guide you and to model, but you're not actually teaching what we're teaching you, if that makes sense. And that's very important because there can be fine lines that you don't want to cross. Anyone else have any concerns or just anything you want to share? Scroll through here. Mark Chamberlain? You want to unmute, sir? Can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah, you can see that I'm not good from a technology perspective. Again, it's my understanding, I know we were told, I guess, twice, that we're going to have an opportunity to network with other people and do a 5-minute conversation about who we are. Is that correct?
Yes. I can address that if you don't want to, Brianna, because we're starting here in, actually right now, 1:05.
Sure.
So, Brianna, thank you. I love you. Thank you for transitioning people here, and welcome to day 3. And I'd like to address, and Mark, you are no more technologically challenged than I was. I can assure you. I didn't even know how to turn the laptop on. I didn't know how to plug in the remote control. You are here on Zoom with a backdrop. That's impressive. Okay? Your audio is great. There really isn't going to be that much for you to learn. In terms of Mark, you're having a group conversation with other people. That's the assignment. There's going to be a place on the Facebook for you to post. And I want to show you right now what that looks like. Now you can see I'm uploading today. It's almost completely, it's 30% uploaded. I just drag and drop from my desktop. Mark, that's about all I do. I drag the file and you're going to learn how to use this, Mark, and whether you decide to use it or not, you'll certainly be able to run your business in Zoom. I made millions upon millions of dollars only using Zoom and only sharing screen. So all of you, you don't need to do all this fancy stuff. The reason I'm offering to train you for free post-event in how to do what I do here is because it does look, Mark, would you agree? It certainly looks more professional.
Absolutely.
You will be able to do it, Mark, because everything I'm doing, and I'm going to zoom in right now, Mark. This is the box. It's about 150 bucks. I can also do it with a regular keyboard, Mark, and just set up the F1 keys. We're going to show you how to do that about a week and a half after this training is over, for free. Your volume, your audio, your camera, and if I push this button right here, Mark, it goes right there. That's all there is to it. They're just scenes, Mark. And all you do is, if I want to go to PowerPoint now, I push the middle button, and it takes me to PowerPoint. Mark, if I want to show them the internet, it shows them the internet. Each one of the scenes is connected to a different button. And my licensee, who I trained, who's very patient, is going to help all of you through that. So don't be surprised, Mark, if you're able to do things that other people who are very advanced with technology have no clue as to how to do. How many of you are kind of excited by that? Because it's a different level of engagement. Now, Mark, in terms of the 5-minute presentation of your character, sir, I'd like to demonstrate that now because we don't have a ton of questions here. And the whole idea of getting together here is to do what I can't do in the initial session. Take it deeper and take you to a place where you have total clarity. So, Mark, let me demonstrate, and you're the man we're going to demonstrate with. I would like everyone for the next 3 minutes to completely focus on Mark. Actually, we'll just do 2 minutes. Doesn't matter how long. 2 minutes will be fine. So, Mark, I'd like you to tell me about your parents, who you were closest to, who you feel you were mentored by, or who you feel you modeled. You could talk to me about your hobbies and fascination, the things that kind of turned you on as a kid that were exciting for you. You know, maybe it was plants, maybe you were not a Cub Scout, maybe you became an Eagle Scout. Maybe you were into martial arts or boating, or fly fishing. I'm interested in those things that you've done in the past. And talk to me about a teacher in your life, perhaps. It could be anything, Mark. Just talk to me about things that are important to you growing up, and then maybe your passion right now, your vision for a better world for you. So discuss any of those things, and if you stop or you feel like you're stuck, I'll give you a question. Go for it.
You couldn't have set me up better when you said vision, because one of the things that I talk about and teach is vision casting. And when you were talking about childhood, a lot of what I know and a lot of what I do today, I learned from my maternal grandfather, Mark Krupp. He was a farmer. I spent time with him on the farm, and he taught me vision casting when I was just a little kid. He walked me around the farm. There was a 5-acre swamp. Just picture a swamp. There were some cows, a lot of water, and all I saw was a swamp. What he did was, and he didn't call it vision casting, he walked me around the swamp. He showed me what springs were, what they were, how they function. And then he said, what we're going to do is we're going to create a pond for the grandchildren to swim in. And I looked at him, and all I could see was the swamp and the cows, and I thought he was crazy. But one of the things that he taught me, and one of the things that I now teach, is something called Amish, like the Amish farmer, where you bring together people like a community to work for you for free. And what he did was he reached out to a friend of his, Hale Bronson, who had farm equipment. And he said, hey, Hale, I'd like you to come over some weekend I'd like to dredge out the swamp, create a pond for the grandchildren. He turned that swamp into a 5-acre lake for the family. The farmer, Cale Bronson, did that for free. And, you know, the point that I'm making is my grandfather had the vision. He did some what if thinking. He used the concept of Amish. He reached out to other people and got them to work for him for free because of the friendship. And that's part of what I teach. And, you know, everybody on this, I used to work for Merrill Lynch. I retired from Merrill Lynch. And one of the sessions that we went to, one of the huge producers said, I need a volunteer, somebody. And somebody stood up and he said, think about your ideal client, whoever that is. He said, I don't want specifics. And the guy said, car dealership. And the speaker said, how many car dealerships do you have in your book? And the guy said, 3. And the speaker said, why don't you have 300? They know one another, they travel together, they read the same kind of information. And then what he said to us as financial advisors is, think about your ideal client, whatever he or she looks like, and then I'm going to teach you how to fill rooms with people like that. And it is unbelievably powerful. And I'm, you know, thinking about the people that are on this screen. As I'm talking, think about what your ideal prospect looks like. What industry are they in? What hobbies do they have? How much money do they make? Here's the cool thing. They travel in similar circles. So once you get one person, you can use that person as a center of influence and get referrals from that person. And the cost to do this is 0. So again, what I teach is, number 1, vision casting, then 2, what if thinking, and I bring Amish into that, and then the last thing is like a celebration. So it's, you know, the vision casting, what if thinking, Amish, build communities around your goal, people that work for you for free because they want to. It's unbelievably powerful.
You did beautifully. And by the way, that wasn't very hard for you, sir. You spoke for me.
You have on this, number 1, you're incredible. You're unbelievable. Number 2, there are a lot of really neat people on this screen. And here's the cool thing from your perspective, we get to share our stories with one another and help each other. It's mind-blowing. And, you know, I did this in 2-3 minutes. There's more to it, and I'd be glad to share with your team more of this so that we can all win, so that we can all grow together.
So I'd like you to write down 3 words, sir, because I'm not sure you're set on your 3 words. But what I just deduced from some very simple mind mapping, which was nothing more than flow, and we didn't even know where you were going, but you manifested very clear. Visualize, celebrate, manifest. So call me by your name and ask me what I do.
No, let me see, visualize what?
No, just call me by your name and ask me what I do.
Mark, what do you do?
People come to me from all over the world, online, offline. It might be the result of my book, which is Visualization to Manifestation, a New York Times bestseller. Or they may come to me through my webinars or workshops, which have changed lives. People learn 3 moves that change their outcome, their relationship, their intimacy, their financial world, their emotional world. They're actually able to deduce through 3 moves a life by design, not a life in default. That's why I'm in demand. The first technique I share with them is to visualize an outcome, to be so specific and to be so sensory based. And I learned this from family and some incredible mentors that are no longer with us. I feel that it's my responsibility to pass this forward. The second thing I have them do, which they haven't done a lot of in life, is to celebrate their incredible vision of a better day and a better way. And because of this clarity, they're able to change the condition of their life: financial, emotional, physiological, spiritual, existential, all layers and all levels, and they're able to manifest an entirely different life. And in many cases, they were told that they couldn't change, and they are wrong. They have a capacity for change. They become a visionary, a director, and a producer in every aspect of their life. You will notice that my Gmail address, visualize now, Mark, at gmail.com, for anyone that would like free training that normally would require thousands of dollars of investment to change the condition of their life. I will send them a free training of under 45 minutes, a video they can experience that demonstrates with absolute proof that they can do this. A life by design, no longer in default, to visualize, celebrate, and manifest the life of their dreams that becomes manifest reality. It is your turn to shine. Now, of course, I'm just drawing this from a smattering of what you gave me here, and we weren't even asked a question here other than to demonstrate. So if I were to give this gentleman right now a testimonial, which he cannot use because I'm not offering that, but I'm doing it here as a demonstration. Is everyone with me on that? Here is what I could say, and I want you all to ponder what you could say. And actually, I disagree. I'm making an exception here. If he chooses to take his pocket camera, and tonight when he watches the replay, he chooses just to videotape me saying what I'm about to say, he has my permission to use it to perpetuity, and I don't grant that often. And don't anyone else ask for it. I'm doing this because my gut tells me, my experience tells me, and the way in which I'm going to position my language tells me that what I'm going to say is safe regarding this articulate gentleman who's very passionate about what he offers. Here's what I would say. And Mark, let me just take a look at Mark, I'd love you to turn off that backdrop. It is totally distracting, and because you're using no green screen, but you're using a simulation, which is software that's completely fragmenting you, you should back off of the camera so that you're framed. You want space above your head. I don't know if you're on a phone, I don't think so, but you need to back off because you're riding the frame. You're consuming it. We're seeing part of your face. You always want to have about a third above you, Mark. All of you write this down. Here's what you should look like on camera. You should have about a third above you, a third below you, and you in the center. And you don't need to figure this out right now. I'm just telling you that you're disappearing, Mark, and the people running behind you don't mean anything. I'd rather see you with a black backdrop and just your face as a point of emphasis. So this would be my testimonial for him. And if I was with him right now, I would put him next to me. So here's the very lovely Mark, handsome and articulate, next to me on a private call. And Mark's last name is Chamberlain, one of my favorite actors, I believe from Shogun. Am I correct, Mark?
Yes.
He was amazing. Richard Chamberlain, I believe, was amazing. I don't think he's doing well right now. Not even sure he's around anymore, but what an amazing actor and what an amazing humanitarian as well. I know a lot about him. So I like the name Chamberlain. I also like Mark, making your mark. Chamberlain is like Weatherford. It has weight to it. Not all names have weight. I like your last name better than mine. Bauer doesn't register. Chamberlain, Mark Chamberlain, the Chamberlain method, the Chamberlain principle, the Chamberlain process. That's how powerful that name is. And then the subtext could be making your mark. And you could create a book that easily. And so, Mark, before I even do what I'm about to do, I'm going to take you somewhere extraordinary because this is what I do. And this is what other people don't do. They just give you some superficial direction and you don't even know what to do with it. So if I want to create a book for Mark, a book cover, and he were to talk about his life, which he just did, and he could just talk and talk and talk and talk if he knew the right questions, at the end of 3 hours, the book would be fully written. You just transcribe it, throw it into ChatGPT, because they're your words. It's not a large language model. What it's now doing is cleaning up the grammar, the syntax, organizing the chapters, the prologue, etc. All it's doing is organizing the book in a matter of 15 seconds. Your book would be less than 60 pages. Your book would be full of beautiful photos. And the cover of your book could be making your mark. So at the bottom corner would be Mark's face. And at the top would be the title. So there's Mark looking up and making your mark. So he's got a picture of the world, and he's got a check mark and an arm. It's his arm, making your mark in the world. That could be the visual. This is just an idea. Obviously, you can ponder it any way you want, manifest what you want. And then he puts the title on it, making your mark on the world, whatever he wants to call it. I've already given him some other options. Then he has the spinal column of the book. And when you break down a book like this, I created this particular cover. This was motivated for my brother-in-law. I just happened to knock this out, and I had it currently, because he's never listened to me. And I was there to train him, for the last 42 years, because I met his sister 42 years ago. And he's an architectural designer. And he's never done any marketing, Mark. And that's a mistake. He says, architects can't market. I said, oh, yes, they can. Some people you just can't reach. I put his face on the back cover and an architect's viewpoint. He went to SciArt. How to avoid costly mistakes. And I told him to name the book The Money Pit. Because you either build your house right the first time or you pay later through the nose. Now, Mark, you're probably my age, right? Somewhere in there?
75.
You're older than I am. You look fantastic. So, Mark, are we in agreement? You either pay now and do it right, or you pay later when it comes to construction. You do it right, the right plumbing, the right roofing, the right insulation, you end up saving your butt long term if you're going to stay in that home. Am I correct, sir?
Yes.
So that's what he's about. He's a perfectionist by nature. And so his book is about not making costly mistakes. Your book is going to be comprised of the three things that motivate you through your mentors and your life lessons and your clarity, and that's visualize, celebrate, and manifest. Those are your three primary chapters, and then underneath each one of them, there will be sub-chapters, subdivisions, and that's your book. You literally write down the questions that you wish to answer, and before you know it, the book is full. Now, I don't teach this in the morning. I'm just making an exception here to give you an example. Now, look what happens, Mark. And by the way, if you're wondering what graphics program I'm using, Mark, can you spell PowerPoint? I'm being facetious.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm just using PowerPoint. Everything I did here, I did in PowerPoint. 3 rectangles, couple pictures, and some type. PowerPoint has a very powerful graphics engine. You don't need Canva. You don't need AI. And when you create something yourself from your heart, Mark, you're going to care about it. And then, Mark, we can create a 3-dimensional version of your book, throwing it into a program that I will reveal here that costs nothing. And the next thing you know, Mark, you have a system deliverables on their phone, on their iPad, and in book form, electronic online and offline. Now, Mark, do you have any idea how seriously you would be taken if you were an instant author? And you can do that this weekend in less than 3 hours. Because all you're going to do is talk out loud into WhatsApp. Is anyone gaining value here today? Is anyone happy that Mark didn't even ask a question? It was just like, well, what about that 5-minute thing? Well, Mark, you just demonstrated it here, and everyone's going to be able to benefit. Is anyone learning anything right now? Yeah, you are. So let's take a look on the pad. Let's turn on the iPhone, Face ID, and let's reduce the light level. And let me contact Brianna now. Brianna, I'm going to send you something in WhatsApp, darling. Okie dokie. So my name is Mark. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and I'm going to hold down. I can hold it down, and that allows me to actually have voice, just copy my voice. But I don't want to do that. I want to do voice transcription. So I'm going to hold here in WhatsApp, which is a free program that you're all, or should be all, aware of. This is going...
received it.
What's that?
I received it.
Yeah, so watch this. Here we go. My proven and transferable process has empowered people from all over the world to visualize, celebrate, and manifest a life by design. They're able to see the big picture for the first time. They're able to know exactly what they want on a sensory-specific level. And then they're able to celebrate and to cerebrate the brilliance of their life experience. For the first time, very often, they fully appreciate, acknowledge, and truly value the time they spend in sharing their life's work and their life's revelations and life distinctions with others. As a result of this process, they're able to manifest a life by design, no longer a life in default. My proven process, my international best-selling book, my seminars, workshops, and webinars and private consulting have me in demand because these are 3 skills that are not taught in a traditional education. My mentors are dead. They are long gone. And so I feel a responsibility to impact lives, save lives, and change lives for the better through my 3-step proven process. And anyone that is interested in receiving a video on exactly how I do this, intimate, proven, and transferable, simply needs to reach out through makemymark@gmail.com. Request gifts in the subject line, and I will send you gifts that will change the way you are perceived, conceived, and received. So I just sent essentially 1 page of conversation. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just babbling about. Based upon some of the flow that you gave me, you will be infinitely more articulate and knowledgeable because this is not my expertise. This is your expertise, where you will talk about the principle of unity and community and the Amish principle, the idea of the kibbutz, the idea of coming together organically, taking care of one another, all the things that you care about, and your book will be written in 3 hours. Under 60 pages, you'll add graphics, pictures when you were being raised, pictures of the type of community, pictures of the type of people that you'd like to impact. And this is a bookmark that you'll be very, very proud of. When you're all done, Mark, you will go to the following. Remember, this is just based on a comment that Mark made. I don't have a plan here. I'm just solving the problem and giving him branding. Is anyone else benefiting from this right now? Is anyone else going, this is very useful, very useful, because many of you don't have a book, or you bought a book or had AI write it. You don't want to have AI write it. That is the single worst thing you can do from a position of legal compliancy. You're not even allowed to do that. You can't copyright something that, who knows this? You can't copyright something that AI has manifested. It's illegal. So you may get away with it for a while, and if you don't know how to rinse it and cleanse it on a very deep and profound level, you're going to get nailed. Plus, you're not going to know how to teach what AI wrote, because it won't be your creation. It'll be a derivative of an inaccurate large language model made up of truth and falsehoods. Now, what you can do with AI is flesh out your book in the way that I'm showing you here. Copy and paste this document that Brianna now has. So you do this with a friend. They ask you questions, you answer the questions. Your book's written. It's done. Don't overthink it. Your book will only be as good as the quality of the question. So, Mark, you just have to formulate a series of 9 to 15 questions, and those questions will become chapter titles. How many of you are going, Joel makes writing books a lot easier than what I thought it was? There's no writer's block here. You just need a bunch of questions. And if you can't come up with the questions, let a friend of yours who thinks more of you than you think of yourself, because most of you don't value yourselves. Your perceived value of self is horrifying. But if you talk to someone who loves you, their perceived value of you is extraordinary. Let them manifest the questions. And you'll be amazed how that organizes into a book and a process. Now, if I go to a free program, which is called 3D, I'm going to give you this in the chat right now, only for those that are here, and I will describe it for those that are not here. The program, which is very old and not AI driven, basic template pop-in. So it's called DIYbookcovers.com/3D mockups /#. Anyone watching this on the replay will be able to reconstruct that. So if you take a look, there it is. Now, what happens when I click on that is you're going to go to this screen online, and you're going to simply decide on the book cover or the iPhone or the iPad from the limited choices they have. I use this all the time. I'm going to select this book cover. It tends to be my favorite. It's number 2 from the right in the upper corner. Now we click Next. Mark, do you think you could handle this so far?
Yes.
Of course you can. Anyone can. Now you're going to browse. And what we're browsing for here is a picture. Any picture that might be the shape of a book. So we're going to have saved something. Let's just say this is the cover of the book right over here, Getting to Know You, or Absolute Success. I'm now going to click on Upload. That's how fast it is. So all you did was browse for the picture that you created in PowerPoint, and then you uploaded it. Now you click Next, and you're done. You're going to download the PNG. That's a portable network graphic. I have no idea what that means. I just know what it means. I have no idea. And now I'm going to drag it to my desktop, and there it is. I just created a 3-dimensional book cover with anything. Give me a thumbs up if that looks pretty good. And I know you're not impressed because you're living in the time of AI. This is not AI. This is drag, drop, and you don't have to give them any contact information at all. They don't know you from Adam. They don't solicit, and they're not going to sell your contact information. It's not even an intelligence site. It's a lead gen that requires no opt-in. Pretty stupid if you ask me. They're missing out on a major income opportunity. Who here thinks they could knock out a short book in a weekend just based upon this instruction? Copy, paste, clean it up in ChatGPT, copy and paste it into a Word doc, make a picture of it, a downloadable PDF, People click on the picture, they download your book. That's a lead gen. Of course, this is the simplest way of doing this. And this all was a derivative of Mark barely even asking a question. Now we have more questions here. And so obviously I'm going to go to them. So Mark, to finish my exploration with you, you got a lot more than you bargained for, didn't you, sir?
Breathtaking.
Here's the payoff. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to raise your hand, put your finger on your nose. If you could say something positive about Mark now, his character, his integrity, his intention. So Dr. Panther, who's one of the most articulate people I've ever met on the planet, Mark, he's a wordsmith. He's brilliant, beyond brilliant. I'm very impressed. I've always been impressed by his languaging skills and his reasoning skills. Anyone else, finger on nose? Okay, I'm going to bring in Doug. Doug's finger on nose. Tamara looks like she's here. I guess she's going to say something. I'm not sure. There's Dwayne. Dwayne is super articulate. And Ben, wow, you got quite a following here, my friend. Okay, let's check out Ben. There's Ben. I'm just pinning him. So these are the people that showed up, and that's enough right there. Now, Mark, I'm actually going to make you disappear. Why? I'll show you. I'm going to bring in one more person. Who else has their finger on nose? This will be the final demonstration that'll take this to a level. I needed a female. Angie identifies as a female. Am I correct, Angie? Because you never know. You could be offending someone these days. They might identify as a parallelogram. Angie, I'm not offending you, correct? You look like an exquisitely beautiful woman to me. But if you told me you were a male truck driver from Minnesota, I wouldn't believe you, but I would accept it, and I would refer to you as the big wheeler. Okay? So, up to you. Real simple here. We have 6 people. They're each going to unmute. Because I only have 2 women, I'm going to alternate them. So I'm going to start on Tamara. And for about 30 seconds or less, doesn't have to be long, I want you to give Mark Chamberlain a testimonial about his character and or his process. I will begin the process. Mark Chamberlain, I believe, is a visionary. As a result of people, his mentors that are no longer here, he teaches people from all over the world who reach out to him how to visualize the life they want, they truly want and desire. How to celebrate the significance of their presence on the planet, how to truly appreciate their contribution and sense of significance. And finally, how to manifest a new life. Mark Chamberlain is making a difference. I'm very proud of what he does and very excited for those he touches. Tamara, you have an opinion of Mark.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. I just heard Mark Chamberlain, and he is an excellent wordsmith. I learned so much about his character. He is a visionary, and he just loves to help people celebrate life and to celebrate who they are.
Okay, now freeze, because we're only doing a sampling here, okay?
Oh, okay.
So Doug, say something for 10, 15 seconds.
Mark's simple formula to visualize life based on his experience has inspired me to build my own life. I
Ben.
appreciate all he's done for me.
Ben, 15, 20, remember, I'm not being rude here. Mark, this is a demonstration. You follow me? I'm just demonstrating here. Now let's go to Angie, and then we'll go to Bruce. Angie, can you say something about Mark and his character or impact through his process? Turning on your audio might be useful, even though I do read lips, and what you just said was amazing.
Straight away I was really drawn to Mark as soon as I heard him speak. He's very authentic, very genuine.
I'm going to stop you now because
Okay. So Mark has been a very instrumental person for me. He really helped me visualize where I wanted to go and really created the authentic thing that I want to have for myself.
Freeze.
And
See, the second I know they got it, they got it. And we end on Dwayne Garman here. Dwayne, 10 seconds.
Mark Chamberlain's take on vision casting is unique, but what really makes him special is the way he enables you to manifest your goals and your dreams
Freeze.
and achieve what
Freeze. So, Mark, actually, Mark, you're not going to want to use this because that wasn't my objective here. What you're going to want to do, like everyone else here, who now knows how to do it, get a group together, talk for 5 minutes. We just proved that it works. It's that easy. And Mark didn't even speak for 5 minutes. Who had a major takeaway here just from this? Book production and beyond. Now today, and again, this is my fault, we're going to go till 2 o'clock, even though we're supposed to end at 1:45, because I want to address a few more questions here, and then the carryover questions we'll address tomorrow. When I started the session today, would you please raise your hand if people weren't here yet, and raise your hand if there were no questions yet. We didn't have any. All we had was a comment from Diva, which was a tech question that I'm now going to address right now. Her question pertained to the wall of power, and I will use the simple wall, but you're VIPs, so I'm going to use my wall. The people in the general session were not gifted your wall. They were given a simple wall that I threw together for them so they wouldn't be stranded. Your wall of power is mine. You can reduce it, you can trim it down. Diva wanted to know how you animate the wall. It's simply PowerPoint behind me. Well, what if I didn't have PowerPoint behind me? Could I use Zoom and do the same thing? And could I still bring in the pieces step by step? Yeah, you can. Because in Zoom, how many of you know, show of hands, in Zoom, you can load a graphic behind you or a video. So what you would do is you would take your wall of power and you would make a total of, let's say you have 12, 4, 4, 4. You would make a total of 12 images. This would be your first. Your second image would be this. These are screen captures. And you would load them in. This would be the third, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So you would have 12 separate screen captures. That's 11, that's 12. And here's what happens as a result of it. Okay, my computer has a life of its own right now. I evidently overclicked. So I'm going to wait till it stops, and then I'm going to back out. Okay, that's all I did. Because there's a delay here, and I know what it is. I'm going to do a reboot later on. So you got 12 separate pictures, each one representing each layer, right? Because you had one, and then you have two. And then you load those in order in Zoom, in the graphics. And what does that do? All you do is hit the cursor key on your keyboard. People don't know this. This is quite advanced, but very simple. You just use the cursor key here, and when you hit it, it'll change the image behind you to the next one automatically without you having to do anything else, as long as the Zoom graphics window is open. Wow. I didn't know I could do that. Diva, you following me? Because it was your question.
Yes, but what I was referring to was your wall of power had a graphic at first where I had to stand in front of the copy of the pictures. And then at the end, I created my face with this round circle. So all those pictures came in, but there was a delay between those pictures, the wall of power, and that final graphic of me with this round circle.
Okay, so you want to know how to do an animation where, let's say your wall of power is fully delivered and you want to bring in one more image, but you want it under your control, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to escape from the wall of power. I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to do an insert. So I'm going to insert from pictures, and I'm going to go to device, and I'm going to go to my desktop, And I'm going to have to figure out right now where I have a cutout of something, and I think I can reason this pretty quick, so that I can show you exactly how to do that. So I'm going to go to my desktop here, and I'm going to go under Shortcuts, and then I'm going to go under Pix 2024, and I'm going to go under New Pix, and here's a cutout of me. So this will be on your desktop or wherever you want it. I click on it, and now I have this modular Joel that I can bring anywhere I want. So let's say I want to bring Joel right over here, right? I'm going to go under Animation. By the way, don't any of you get frustrated by this. She's asking me a specific question, and it is pertinent to what I taught here, but not really, because I wasn't teaching animation. I pre-animated the whole sequence, but it's still pertinent and appropriate. She's also an advanced student of mine. So in order to animate this, we're going to float it in. We went under Animation Pane, and then this opens up on the right. This works on Apple and PC. You'll find the same functionality. And on Apple, Microsoft did a better job at writing the program. Apple has a superior version of Office. It's just better written. They cleaned up the code. So if you're on Apple, you're going to love it. And there's no reason to use Keynote when Office works perfectly on Apple. It's not indigenous to Microsoft. So I'm going to click on the image I want to animate, and I'm going to click on Float In. And I'm just going to say Start on Click, which it does by default. So now when I bring it in, I talk about all of these people and the remarkable breakthroughs that they experienced, overcoming all the objections as I go through each one of them. So the objection here, Peng Joon was about to throw in the towel. He had made no money from the stage, couldn't convert, online or offline, when he presented. Flew into Los Angeles 4 days after the event. Back in Malaysia, he had his first table rush. $4,000 US a pop, over 200 sales. His girlfriend and the woman who runs his company, an Esquire, an attorney by training, one of the brightest people I've ever met on planet Earth, had her eyes covered in fear that she would see him experience what she'd seen him experience before, which was failure. Within 6 months, he had both of his parents retired. That's how powerful the Matrix is. Combined income of 300 grand, $700,000 in 4 months. Within 2 years, 2.4 million. Within 7 years, 13 million. Money is no longer a concern for the Sumrocks. Some rock, some don't. So the secondary objection we overcame is, can it generate income quickly? The first one is, what if I've never succeeded before? How long might it take? Who gets the idea here? Just demonstrating. All of this comes, Diva, there's your answer from my experience. So when I hit the cursor here, I'm just hitting the arrow here, and anything will pop up that I put in there. Does that help you, Diva?
Yes, it does.
All it is deciding on float up. I use exactly the same configuration every time. Please write down, all of you. Float in. Everything is a float in. And everything is on click. So all you're doing is giving it that instruction. And I'm going to miniaturize the PowerPoint right now so you can see the sidebar, because I now realize that in that particular screen you couldn't see it. And that's not fair to you. So over here, this is the sidebar. And when you right click on something, that's an animation. So when you say start on click, it will fade up. If you say start with previous, it's going to start with the previous component there. So if I were to do this and bring it in, and bring in all 12 pieces, right? So all I'm doing is clicking through it right now. They're all going to fade in. And now when I click on the next one, I will fade in with it because I told it to with previous come in. This will not be confusing once you do it a few times. I'm not here to teach PowerPoint, but I will let you know that there are over 44,000 videos on YouTube on basic PowerPoint techniques.
Thank you.
It is simple. Now, I'm going to gift you guys something I wasn't going to gift you. Because of Diva's question, in the VIP tonight, I'm going to put in a basic PowerPoint training that only has the monetization moves that I make. Who would like to take ownership of that? It'll teach you how to do that. In our remaining time together, obviously, we went from no questions to many. We are now going to go from Diva and Bruce. Bruce is having trouble inserting a picture into the wall of power. We're going to go in order here. So that's okay, Bruce. Bruce, I love you because if you're having trouble, other people are having trouble as well. And that's not fair. Not fair at all. Let me clear out the pins here just for a split second. I'll get to it. I'll give you guys a few extra minutes. If you have to leave for any reason, just know that all of this will be in the replay. As I do not realize when I go overtime here, it's not because I want to. It's because I don't like to leave you dangling in the middle of a concept. You follow me? I think it's disrespectful. So I'll always complete the current thought. So if you would, everyone take a look over here. We're going to take a look at the PowerPoint. And we're going to right-click on this picture. So there's the PowerPoint slide with the wall of power. We're going to go to Change Picture from Device. The device meaning your computer. Now, this picture right here, it'll work. This picture with my wife, this will work really well. So I'm just going to pop that in there. And we'll count 3, 2, 1. Because sometimes there's a calibration timing that just, it takes a second. Don't get mad at your computer. Your computer is stupid. You're not stupid. You're brilliant. Your computer has to go through, it's buffering, it's an overload, your registry is screwed up. If you're not rebooting your computer every time you go to train people, that's not a recommended thing to do. Always reboot. Do you want to turn your computer off? Do you want to restart or do you want to shut down? You want to restart. Write that down. You restart your computer. You do not shut it down. Only time you shut it down is if you're leaving town for a week or so. Otherwise, restart it. It's much cleaner. It'll clear your registry to some degree. Okay? I clean my computers every month because stuff happens. So right-click, Bruce, change picture from device. Now, Bruce, there's something you need to know. If you're trying to right-click on something that's not a JPEG, it won't work. It has to be a JPEG, a picture. And if you're trying to put something in there that is not a JPEG, it won't work. You'll have to drag it in, screw with it, and animate it. But mine are already pre-animated. So if I want to put in this picture with the thumbs up, I just double-click on it. And that'll load it in. There it is. It's done. And then, Bruce, because I've already pre-coded it for you, everything will work perfectly, including that new photo that I just put in. Are you with me, Bruce? Bruce, are you there? Looks like you're frozen. I think Bruce's camera's frozen, but I think that's complete enough for the time being. Let me see whether I can handle, I can. I'm going to handle one more. We're going to go to Paul McGinnis. And if Bruce is still having trouble, I will attempt to have one of you work with him, or I'll provide additional direction tomorrow. Let's go to Paul. Carryover question. How do you monetize when a client is not financially benefiting? However, their children and family are benefiting and real, okay, but not as tangible. So I'm going to have Paul communicate to me now intimately exactly what this means, because sometimes the way we write is not the way we feel. It doesn't come out the same way. Is Paul here?
Yes, son.
Where are you, Paul? Oh, there you are. How are you, sir? Handsome and articulate, right at the bottom there. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yes, I probably didn't write it the way it was.
No, you wrote fine, but I want to understand it. So let me listen to you. And I want you all to write this down. When you're coaching people, read what they've written. It'll give you a construct. It'll give you an idea. And then listen to them, and you'll generally be informed on an emotional level. And you'll also be able to transcend what they're saying because you'll get a feeling by their tonality, modulation, inflection, microfacial expressions. All of us have the ability to some degree to read someone. We've been here for a while. So I want to hear Paul articulate the question. It'll come out differently.
I guess the context of this really is that my challenge, my personal challenge is that I'm dealing with children with ADHD, and I'm improving their lives, which vicariously is also improving the family's lives. And I'm trying to get my head around how I could monetize something like that sensitively.
Okay.
I guess probably.
So, Paul, you do realize that your question was very different than how you structured it when you wrote it up. Because you implied here, and that's why I didn't jump into it, you implied here a level of failure. Right? How do you monetize when the client is not financially benefiting? Right? So I thought, okay, there's a disconnect here. But this is not a financial concern. A child who's been labeled, and these are labels, ADHD, I think it existed from the beginning of mankind, most likely. It's just a label. They love to label things, and it creates revenue streams. Oh, we have a new disease. We have a new problem. Okay. So your target audience, you're dealing with children with ADHD and trying to convince the parent.
Trying to support the child and indirectly the family.
Okay.
Because it's,
Paul,
it's a challenging one. Yes.
Paul, please define in less than 30 seconds the fundamental behaviors of someone with ADHD so that everyone is up to snuff here. I know because I was labeled with it, but I'd like you to articulate it.
Generally, low attention span and sometimes frustrated behavior, can lack sleep, and not able to focus in and keep attention on any one topic. In fact, probably can multitask really well. In fact, I tend to call it a superpower rather than a challenge. And the challenge is really to get them to be able to control that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Did a nice job on that. Call me by your name. Ask me what I do.
Paul, tell me what you do.
Parents of children, obviously, contact me from all over the world because their children are having trouble focusing. They're not doing well in school. When the parent talks to the child, they think that the child is being disrespectful. Not the case. The child isn't sleeping in many cases. They have sleep apnea. They're being deprived. They're adrenally depleted. Another concern for the parent. The child is frustrated, often easily angered, emotionally distressed. This can be very hard in trying to assimilate them and trying to socialize them. It can be very, very hard on the child and devastating for the parent who wants the best for their children. And you simply don't have the child's attention because the child doesn't have an attention span. It's very often more than a few seconds. The most amazing thing is that children who have been labeled and diagnosed with ADHD are often brilliant. Their intelligence is of another world. Their ability to multitask. I am the bridge. Parents come to me from all over the world because I'm able to harness all of these concerns, modify and change very often the behaviors, and allow the child to be high functioning. They live rich and productive lives. This is the wish, the desire, and the dream of every parent. And just because their child was born different and highly intelligent, able to process and assimilate on a level that very few parents come to appreciate this, not as a disease or a concern, but a gift, a superpower. And with great power comes great responsibility, Spider-Man. So the only shift I'd like to make with you, and we can talk about this more tomorrow, is the shift where, and I just did it for you. I mean, obviously I don't know what you know. It's not my skill set. But using the limited information you gave me, your framing is, you don't have to sell this. Parents come to me from all over the world. That's the first part, the parent. Why are they coming to you? That's the problem you solve. The problem you solve is parents come to me from all over the world because their child, and you don't talk about ADHD, their child has been labeled with the following behaviors. And they've conveniently called it ADHD. But your child isn't sick. Your child doesn't have a concern or a problem, not when I work with them. And I've had nothing but successes. In fact, if I'm not successful, I don't even want them to cover my expense. No charge. And I've never had a failure. Because if I take on parents that care about their children and their child, it means I know that I will be the breakthrough, allowing that child to highly function. I am the bridge. Taking your child from a very flat world with limited perspective where people think your child is shut down, and suddenly we transition your child from where they are to where they need to go. High functioning, a part of a very active and exciting world, able to enjoy and embrace their life fully. Without me, this is often the case. They're misunderstood, labeled, filed away, put in a special community or school. It can be the difference between living your life fully, thriving, or just getting by and barely surviving. Is that enough for you to start to ponder?
No, it's brilliant, Bill. Absolutely brilliant.
How does that help you specifically? I mean, I'd actually like to know your point of view. How does just this shift, if this was a shift for you, how does that help you?
It certainly pulled together elements of that I had in my head, but you pulled it together in a structure that I hadn't before.
Yeah, and so let me give you one final gift, and it's the same gift I gave the people yesterday. Remember, I stay on point. My principles I live with. It's not like I show you guys one thing and I do another. Acknowledge, activate, and achieve. And your book would be called The High Functioning Child, line, ADHD, not a problem. I'm not saying that's the title, but that's the concept. Your child has been labeled, and they're now high functioning as a result of your system that acknowledges that your child is extraordinary. That's the shift, my friend, Paul. They're not a problem child. They're an extraordinary child. They're an amazing child. We acknowledge that. These are not concerns. These are manageable. And you do know that in many cases, and I know you know this, Paul, but children who have been labeled with this and other things, we change their diet, and 30 to 40% of the time, it changes the behaviors.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And,
you know,
and I mean, just to add on to this, I have got some things to put onto my wall of power that would actually
fantastic.
So affidavits. So it's, yeah.
So they come to you because you acknowledge the truth that their child is brilliant, able to multitask, high function, and that all of these things that people think are a problem are not a problem for someone who intimately understands exactly what's really going on and has never had a failure. I activate a series of processes that deliver your child from being shut down, removed, marginalized, to fully activated and high functioning. And your child's able to achieve a life in balance, an extraordinary life. Acknowledge, activate, achieve. This particular sequence really works. You could also use discover, design, and deliver. They think that they've discovered that their child has a problem, and they're wrong. Their child has a gift. That's what they haven't discovered yet. And they think that their child will never be able to design a life that's in balance. And that's where they're wrong as well. Their child, and deliver, oh my God, some of the most extraordinary minds. Elon Musk was labeled ADHD and Asperger's syndrome as well, and a few other things. He's on the spectrum hardcore.
Yeah.
And he's one of the most remarkable men, whether you like his politics or not, okay? Because now people suddenly hate him because, whatever. But understand something. It didn't matter. He went with whoever he thought would win. He knows what he's doing, okay? That's all he did.
Yeah.
He made a calculation. And I can assure you, if he thought the other party was going to win, he'd be over there. He's not stupid. He wants to impact the world, and he is impacting the world. Some of you may not see it as positive. I think he's doing a lot more than most people do with their lives.
For sure.
And he is so freaking right here. So I would call your system the Musk principle. You could have the Musk process. Manifest, right? I mean, I could go through this whole thing. But let's do that tomorrow. So you take an acronym, or the Elon. So Elon is fantastic because it's very pretty. But my process is called the Elon. So now you are associated with Elon Musk, which is legally compliant because you happen to be using his name. Very often people will confuse. So now you take Elon Musk, who's ADHD, and they would love their kids to be just like Elon.
Oh, yeah.
One of the 3 wealthiest people on the planet. By the way, he's not the wealthiest. The people who truly have wealth, there are people that have over $1 trillion. People don't know this.
Yeah.
They don't talk. And they don't wear name brand. And they don't want a Birkin bag. Okay? People with real money don't talk about it. And they pull the strings. Real money. The money you can't spend. The money that can't be willed. That'll help you. There's your start. Everyone else, my pleasure. Everyone else says, anyone benefit from the session today? I know we have some carryovers. I gave you some extra time. I do the best I can. Tomorrow is Thursday. We're going to start on time tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 1:45. Write down carryover on your questions. You know I'll get to them. Is there anyone here that did not find value today? As I can assure you, I give you all I got, but I never know what you're going to dish out. And if you don't give me your questions here at the beginning of the session, I just start working on someone like we did with the very lovely, self-contained, he's not here anymore. We lost him. Can you imagine? He must have already transformed his life and launched everything he did here. I think he's now in demand. He must be on ABC, CBS, and NBC talking about his new book. That's remarkable. I'm assuming that. I could be wrong. Love you all. We're going to move to Brianna now, and I'm not saying goodbye. We continue tomorrow. And when I leave you now, I'm working on the uploads and promises, plus the bonus of the PowerPoint training that I promised you. I love you all. I'll demonstrate it through my continued actions. Dr. Panther did not have an opportunity. Hopefully he'll be here tomorrow. You're going to want to hear from him. He is a remarkable soul. And as I said to you, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. He can spin. He can spin his words. Man, this guy is amazing. And I think I've met him here. Am I correct, Dr. Panther?
Yes, it was my privilege to be at your final masterclass last year.
Yeah, he was a Masterclass 50, and we all loved him. And let me tell you what I love about him, and I love about many of you.